Hello friends, it's Scott from Flat River Keto, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. On my channel, you get to come along for the ride on my keto journey. Today is Saturday, which means it's a check-in day for us, finally getting back into the habit of doing those weekly check-ins on Saturday. I want to check in with you guys about how this past week has gone for me and the goals that I set for myself, the things that I wanted to accomplish, and want to let you know what my plan is moving forward. So first thing I'd like to do is check in with you on the goals that we had for this past week. If you guys were following along, if this isn't your first time here, you will know that last week I had a goal to have consistency over intensity, and that was particularly as it related to my movement or my exercise. Had a really good week from that perspective. For those of you who do follow along with my short videos, you know that because I do try to check in with you every day while I'm getting my walk in with my dogs. And this past week, my goal was to have consistent walks with my dogs every day and also to have consistent DDPY workouts, which is my yoga program that I do. And I will say that having that goal for consistency was very helpful for me this last week, as particularly like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I did not want to get out of bed, but I kept saying to myself as my alarm went off, consistency over intensity, consistency over intensity. Get out and do a slow walk, get out and do a lazy walk, but just get out and do it and be consistent. And, you know, the fact of the matter is, I don't know about for you guys, but for me, by the time I got my butt out the door, it wasn't hard to say, okay, well, let's get going. It also isn't hard when you have an 80-pound black lab dragging you along. It helps with your pace just a little bit. I don't know how many of you guys have real life experience with that, but it helps me keep my pace up. So I was consistent every day this week in getting my walking in getting my DDPY workouts in. Today, in fact, I did some free range steps, and I say free range because, as I just explained to you, I have an 80-pound black lab that will drag me along as we get our walk in here in town, which is what I need to do during the work week because of the limited time that I have available in the morning before I actually have to get off to work. But on Saturdays, I can take a little extra time. And this morning, I loaded the dogs into the back of my truck, and we drove out to where my parents live. They have 11 acres, and I was able to let the dogs run and get their 10 to 12 miles in as I trudge along and get my couple of miles in. Now, the thing that I have to kind of focus on when I'm doing the free range walking is that I do not have an 80-pound black lab dragging me along. So I got to focus on keeping that pace up. But that went well this morning. From a weather perspective, it wasn't super awesome. Here in Nebraska, Mother Nature can't decide whether it wants to be winter or summer. We seem to keep skipping over spring. Today it is 35 degrees. We've got 20-mile-an-hour winds out of the north, and like it could have actually snowed, I think, a little bit this morning. I don't know that it snowed here, but it might have. Tomorrow, I think we're supposed to get some thunderstorms, have a little bit warmer weather, but the weather's just been all over the place. If you guys watched my short video this morning, you see I have a stocking cap on, I've got gloves on, and you could hear the wind whipping around in the background. So there you go. But yeah, it's been a really good, consistent week, which is what I wanted from an exercise perspective. Now, I didn't really set anything in the way of goals from a nutrition perspective this past week. I will say that I think I kind of shared with you guys when I checked in with you last week that I wasn't super keto. I was kind of trending toward low carb, but still making not greatest of food choices. This past week, just getting that movement in, getting the exercise in, I want to say improved my nutrition probably from like 20-25% keto to like 75% keto. Still made a couple of poor choices this week from a nutrition perspective, but a lot better than last week. And what I want to talk with you guys about today is my goal, my plan moving forward, which, funny enough, is not going to be any different from the phraseology, which is I'm going to focus on consistency over intensity. Going to continue to focus on that with my exercise or my movement, but I'm going to focus on that from a nutrition perspective. And what I mean by that is I want to be consistently keto this week, shooting for 100% keto this week. And while doing that, I am having a goal to not focus too much on intensity. I'm, for example, not going to track my macros and make sure I get to an exact number of grams of protein, that sort of thing. But what I am going to focus on is being consistent and doing it every day. And here's the few things that I would like to do this week. First, I want to prioritize my protein, focus on whole foods, eat at meal times and not in between my meal times. And then the last thing is to not eat at all after I finish my evening meal. And really my goal is to probably quit eating, to have my dinner by about 5:30 or 6. Now, this is actually, there's two reasons for this. For those of you who have been following along, especially the last few weeks, you'll know that one of the tools in my tool bag that I've been utilizing is that I recently got on a GLP-1. Now, I'm focusing on keeping my dose of that really pretty low. Certainly, there are much, much higher doses than the one that I'm on, and I don't really plan on ramping that up. It's helpful for me, and as long as it continues to be helpful for me, I will utilize it as a tool. But it's not something that I want to keep ramping up, and because I want to get back off of it. I'm using it as kind of a springboard to help me get back into the keto lifestyle, and it is helping by quieting that carb monster, that sugar monster, but I don't want to use it for the rest of my life. I've said that to you a couple of times. I might say it to you a couple of more times. But all that to say, one of the things, or the thing that a GLP-1 does, is it slows down your digestion, which allows you to feel fuller, and so then, obviously you eat less. Now, one of the things that I've had as kind of a side effect of that is if I eat too late at night, I get acid reflux and I feel uncomfortable. Not to get into too many yucky details, but like kind of gross burping and just uncomfortable and acid reflux. And so I find that if I stop eating at like 5 or 6 in the evening, then that's not so bad for me. And so it kind of, the GLP-1 is helping because it's helping me to feel less hungry, to actually eat less, but it also is kind of helpful for me because I get kind of instant feedback when I do eat later in the evening. And that's historically over my life and trying to be more healthy and trying to reduce my fat intake. Not my fat intake, reduce the fat on my body. As you guys know, keto, actually, you utilize fat for your fuel, so that would be the exact opposite. But in order to reduce the fat on my body, I've found that many of the mistakes that I have made have been related to eating after dinner. A lot of the poor food choices that I make are those between dinner time and bedtime. And so it's nice to kind of have that instant feedback from the GLP-1 that if I eat too late, it's like, nah, you don't want to be doing that. And I'm really uncomfortable. I have that acid reflux and all that sort of thing. So, but those are my nutrition goals for this week, is going to be prioritizing my protein, eating only at my meal times, whole foods, and not eating after dinner. And being consistent with that this week. We can ramp up the intensity as we go along. And the same thing is going to be true for my nutrition. I'm going to keep that consistency with my nutrition, with my exercise, which is to continue to get my movement every day, get those walks in, and get my DDPY workouts in. As my body starts to get more comfortable with that, we're obviously going to try to ramp up the intensity. And as the weeks go forward, I think I will probably try to dial in my nutrition even more and ramp up the intensity as far as the nutrition goes too. One other thing that I wanted to share with you guys, I know this is going to be probably a little bit longer of an update than you're used to, but I wanted to share with you that one of the things that is helpful for me in tracking my progress is to be able to track my weight. And unfortunately, I have gained so much weight back that the regular bathroom scale that I have was not sufficient to let me know what my relationship is with Earth's gravity. And so this week I actually went out and purchased a scale that would be able to weigh me. And that to some degree was a little bit disheartening to know that I needed to do that. But the alternative, what I've been trying to do the last couple of weeks, I weighed in with my doctor, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago? Maybe it was I think it was about 3 weeks ago. So I weighed in at his office, and I knew where I was, and I knew what my bathroom scale at home would do. And the first thought was, well, I'll just get on this plan, and when I've lost enough weight that my weight registers on my home scale, first of all, I'll know how much weight I've lost because I know how much I weighed in when I weighed at my doctor's office. And I know I can definitely do that, but I finally realized, much in the same way that a person might buy a shirt or a pair of pants that doesn't quite fit and say, oh, I'll get into them. Sure, you will if you're consistent in your exercise or your health. But if you're, in my case, really wanting to actually track my results, waiting until I get down, it could sometimes be actually counter to what I want, which is getting feedback on a daily or weekly basis as to where I'm at. And my weight is one of those metrics that I can use to help track my progress. And so I bought a scale that allowed me to see where I'm at. The number wasn't great, but I kind of already knew that the number wasn't great because I did weigh in with my doctor 3 weeks ago. I had debated back and forth whether or not I was going to share this with you guys. It's a little embarrassing for me. It's very disappointing for me. But if I'm sharing with you guys my health journey, I'm sharing my unvarnished health journey. So when I started the keto lifestyle back in July of 2021, I weighed in at 475.6 pounds. Over the ensuing 3 years, I went from 475 down to 292, I think is the lowest that I got. And over the ensuing couple of years, 2 years, because I'm about to be 5 years having done this, I started to gain back that weight. Probably in like year 4, I went from that 290, I bumped back up over 300, and I kind of lived between 315 and 330. And I would make a little bit of progress, get down close to 300, maybe just barely under 300, and then kind of work my way back up to 330. And then, as you guys know, this last year was really rough. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about that. You can go watch a few of my other videos over the last year to know. Having my father-in-law pass away was really tough on me. It was even tougher, of course, on my wife. And just the events leading up to that and him passing, and it was a very difficult year. Is that an excuse for the choices that I made? I don't know, but it's a big part of what happened this past year. And so in that time, I basically gained back another almost 100 pounds. I weighed in the doctor 3 weeks ago at 426.5, and I weighed in today, this morning, at 422.5. So that's where I'm at. So basically I gained back all but 50 pounds of what I had lost. And at this point, I'm looking to lose about 200 pounds, a little over 200 pounds, actually. About 220 pounds is what I'd like to lose. And as we get down further, I will see where I'm at. But like I said, I had debated a lot whether or not I wanted to share that number with you guys, because I don't love that number. I'm not happy about that number. I don't like saying that number out loud. But it's where I am. And if I'm going to share my health journey with you, which I have found to be helpful for me, I hope it's also helpful for you. I wanted to be real with you and let you know where I'm at. So that's where I am. Am I going to give you a weigh-in every week? I don't know. I haven't decided. I am going to track my progress and use the weight as one of the metrics for how things are going for me. I will definitely share with you how I'm doing on my goals, the consistency over intensity, for example, for this upcoming week. And I think I probably will share my weight. I don't want that to be the only thing that this channel is about, which is a check-in of Scott's weight loss. But I think I probably will share that with you sometimes, maybe not all the time. But I'm kind of open to your feedback on what you guys are interested in as far as that goes. I appreciate you guys, as always, for being a part of my channel, being a part of my journey. It's real. It's unvarnished. You guys have seen the ups and downs over the last 4 years. And there have been a lot more disappointing things over the last year than encouraging things, but you only fail if you quit. I've said that to you guys in short videos. I've said that to you in long form updates, and I'm not quitting. So we're moving forward. We'll see how this week goes, on the scale, which is one of those metrics, but focusing on consistency over intensity, not only with our movement, which is what we've been doing, but also with nutrition. So yeah, that's where we're at. Day by day, keep calm and keto on, my friends. We will be checking in. I'll be checking in with you guys again next week. And I check in with you every day on my short videos. We'll talk to you again soon.